Dear brothers and sisters, this is the broadcast for July 3rd and 4th. Actually, I am planning to make a series of broadcasts covering the first week of July because we are entering a very, very important period, a month, perhaps in terms of high frequency. And everything is very chaotic, and you can see it from the news. No matter what country you're living in, the events taking place is really climbing in terms of aggression and hostility, and it is we cannot balance it out with our consciousness yet. That's why we need to improve our consciousness. We need to be honest in terms of what we are doing, where we are, measure our own behavior, intentions, and try to stay pure, far from ego and fear, because ego makes us downgrading further. It makes our efforts useless. No matter universal we think we are, if we have ego, we are out of the game. And that is really a very big obstacle for improving the consciousness in terms of the collective consciousness of humanity. We have to open ourselves more and more to the universal knowledge. I mean, there are many channels who are downloading the universal knowledge. There's too much knowledge around, and instead of just memorizing what is given us in terms of universal knowledge, we have to experience it. We have to implement it so that we really know and we really learn what is universal knowledge. Because unless you do it, you try to get out of a vicious circle, and you never can get out of it. Because this is not a matter of repetition. This is not a matter of imposing. This is really understanding and appreciating something with your own heart and mind and essence in terms of your inner voice. Is it suitable to your inner voice or not? This is the most important measure. You have to ask first to your heart, then to your mind, if you want to do something right. We have really a chaos, as I said. We see injustices, innocent people experiencing something really disastrous, war. We have forests burning again, and everything is calling us to build an order out of the chaos. I mean, after a war, only peace might be appreciated, given the current level of human consciousness. If we, of course, increase the level of consciousness, we can have peace all over the world. We don't need any wars to appreciate peace. We don't take anything for granted. We really appreciate a peaceful world. Otherwise, we keep repeating the same lessons, repeating cycles, vicious circles, as I said before. And until we reach a certain high frequency, high level of consciousness, we are destined to live this chaotic orders, chaotic events, let's say. Today, the July 3rd is labeled as the White Resonant World Bridger according to the law of time. And the word resonant is important in my opinion here, because if you want to resonate with something, you need to understand. It can be a human being, it can be another world, it can be the universe, it can be a flower, whatever you name it. You have to interact, but before you interact, you need to analyze and explore. You need to match your coordinates so that you can integrate your coordinates with whatever you are resonating with. So we have to leave our dirt behind. We have to leave our impurities behind. We need to leave our egos, fears behind in order to resonate fully. That's why it's important to utilize this period, the July 3rd until the 7th of July. And on the 6th of July, we keep hearing that more and more each year, that the 6th of July is where the Sirius is in conjunction with the Sun astrologically, and it's a very important astrological event. It denotes to the beginnings. Some astrologers say that it's the beginning of the end. It sounds very attractive, or how do you say, attention grabbing, not attractive in a positive way, but grabbing the attention, because if you are scared, or you are supposed to be curious, you're more curious to negative alarms, negative impositions to you. That's why you may hear it, but we have to turn it into the positive. That's our job. And in my book, I have talked about a section about this Sirius Sun conjunction, because Sirius is a very important planet, one of the first laboratories of human beings, where a lot of experiments took place. And Sirius is, together with Orion, of course, the how to say, a constellation. Orion and Sirius is a planet, 3 planets actually. Sirius A is responsible for raising the humanity. So it's the evolution plans are prepared there, the divine justice councils are there. So it's an important laboratory for humanity. So the month July, in Turkish it's Temmuz. So Temmuz is connotation, we can denote to a connotation with the Sumerian semi-god Tammuz. So it is, how to say, it was married to Inanna Tammuz. He was a shepherd, and he was responsible for cultivation, agriculture, therefore fertility. He was a very handsome guy, they talk about. And there was a conflict between Inanna and Tammuz, although they were in love, and Inanna punished Tammuz to go to the underworld for 6 months. So the droughts, the sun burnings are a part of his punishment. That's why on the 5th or 6th or 7th of July, we have the heat, and heat results in some fires, and we have to take our lessons why we are so punished. If you want to cause fertility in agriculture, effectiveness, efficiency in agriculture, abundance, for instance, you need to utilize sun and water. Sun is representing light, of course, and water is standing for or representing knowledge. So if you want a seed turning into a life, becoming a plant, for instance, or if you want a love seed to flourish and turn into life, you need light and knowledge, sun and water. So we have to appreciate the light and the knowledge. That's how we raise our consciousness. People are asking me what kind of rituals we can perform during these days. I wouldn't perform any ritual, to be honest. I just would like to visualize in a silent place where you can be on your own, and you can visualize a world. In what kind of a world would you like to live in? I mean, or don't do it just for yourself. Do it for the whole humanity. What kind of a world would you like to visualize for the whole humanity? The 3rd and 7th of July, I would like to associate it maybe metaphorically also from the 3rd dimension to the 7th dimension, where we have the closed system on the 3rd dimension, but on the 7th dimension, it is where we graduate from this closed system. We are born into a world of singularity where duality ends on the 7th dimension. So we can maybe use this metaphor for our visualization as well. The transition from the 3rd to 4th is difficult in terms of the dimensional transitions, because in the 3rd dimension we are stuck to the material world, and in the 4th we have a little bit philosophical world. We have to go from the material world into the spiritual world. That's the first difficult transition. The 4th, 5th, and 6th are relatively easier, but the transition from the 6th to 7th is also challenging, because we have to transition from the duality to singularity. On the 7th dimension, the singularity comes in, the duality ends. We no longer comment good or bad, ugly or beautiful. We have singularity. So the number 6 is one step ahead, one step before the completion, and the year 2022 has a numerology of 6. So it's the 6th generation. We are going into the 7th generation of humanity. We already have 7 slices of it's not dimension, it's the segments of life currently on Earth. We know we don't live in just one Earth. We have holograms of Earth world in within each other. So we are transitioning from 6th to 7th. We don't have to make everything collapse during this transition. If we have a higher consciousness, we can make this transition happening without much losses. And this is, I think, what we should do in terms of transitioning. The 7th of July is the selection portal, we call. 7 stands for selection. It is the transition. For instance, the first half of the year you get prepared until 21st of June, but the second half of the year usually you are tested whether you are well prepared or not well prepared. So if we have made our homeworks well, then we are the chosen ones. But you can be a chosen one, but you can still fail. There is no stability here until the 7th dimension, until we attain it. So the bridger, the world bridger people or missionaries are building the bridges between the worlds, between the dimensions. So that's very important in terms of a mission, right? We don't do it just for ourselves. We do it for the whole humanity. I mean, whatever you do counts in this transition. So there's an affirmation of the law of time for the 3rd of July for the White Resonant World Bridger. I'd like to read it to you. I channel in order to equalize inspiring opportunity. I seal the store of death with the resonant tone of attunement. I'm guided by the power of endlessness. So in this transition, there is no death. There is an endless life opportunities. We need to be inspired of that. And if we, of course, finish the 6th dimension, we also attain the immortality for the humanity at the same time. So increasing consciousness means attaining immortality. That's, I think, very important, right? So the affirmation for the 4th of July, which is the day of the blue galactic hand, and you can visualize yourself as a galactic hand stretched out to hold the hands of the humanities, whomever hands you can hold. So I'd like to read that affirmation too. I harmonize in order to know, modeling healing. I seal the stone of accomplishment with the galactic tone of integrity. I'm guided by the power of magic. So, our next broadcast will be covering the 5th and until the 7th of July. And I'd like to end here, and I'd like to thank you. If you like to broadcast, please share with your friends so that it can reach to a number of people who are going to appreciate these as you do. Thank you very much for listening.